We are looking ahead then to the big game at Old Trafford today in the FA Cup. It is Manchester United against Liverpool. I'm pleased to say joining us right now is someone who knows what it's like to play in this fixture and is part of our commentary team today. Very delighted to say joining us this morning, it is Mark Hughes. Mark, good morning to you. How are you? How are you feeling ahead of this?
Mark?
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah,
looking forward to it. Just listening to that info and listening to all the names that hopefully will be involved today. It looks like it's going to be a great game, hopefully better than the league game. Let's
Yes.
just put that out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that was quite a disappointment, that draw between the two sides. But whenever Manchester United and Liverpool meet, whatever competition it is, this is a chance for one to get one over their rival.
Yeah, United up against Liverpool is always a huge game, whatever the competition, and today will be no different in that regard. They're the two most successful clubs in English history, and as a consequence, there's always that rivalry that doesn't go away. Obviously, both clubs, both cities are in close proximity, only half an hour, 40 minutes between both cities. So that rivalry will always be there as a consequence of their history and where they're situated.
Did that change much, Mark, along the way with the rivalry? Because obviously you had United being very successful, you had Liverpool in the 70s and 80s, and you've experienced it over a period of time of being a United player. Did you feel it ever changed? Because someone always had the bragging rights between you.
Yeah. I'm not too sure, Kaz. I think it was always one replaced the other, so to speak. In the 70s, 80s, Liverpool were in the ascendancy. United never really pressured them to win a title. We'd win a few cups or whatever. And then in the 90s, that changed around, and United were the team that were strongest. And Liverpool found it hard to challenge for the title. This year, hopefully, they'll go head-to-head, which hasn't happened too many times. So I think it's difficult to say who will come out on top in this competition, certainly in the Premier League. It's so open this year. I think it's a different league, obviously, with all the restrictions that COVID have brought to the game, no crowds, and the influence that, obviously, partisan crowds have on performances and results. That's not in the league this year, so maybe that allows other teams to gain a foothold and be more of a question for the bigger teams, the teams that are expected to
You revelled in it, Mark, didn't you? You enjoyed it because you loved the physical part of the game. You know, all Man United and Liverpool players have all been technically very good, but you revelled in the battle against when you played Liverpool.
Yeah, well, you know, Kaz, that it was at different times and the game was refereed in different ways in those days. So there was no VAR or 300 cameras watching every move. So we could get away with murder if we're honest. So it was a lot more physical than maybe it is today. But nonetheless, enjoyable, I have to say. You're right, I did enjoy that physical aspect. It was a case of setting your stall out and putting down a marker early in the game to say to the opposition, listen, we're here, you can't intimidate us, we're here to take a result off you. So that was always present in the day and the age when I played, but when you came up against Liverpool, it got cranked up a couple of notches, I have to say.
A few weeks ago, a month or so ago, it was a very different situation in the league, a very different situation for both clubs as well. The roles now seem to have reversed, Mark, and Manchester United now hold a 6-point lead over Liverpool. There were, a few weeks ago, months ago, suggestions that maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't the right man to be leading Manchester United, but again, that conversation has now changed. What do you make of the work that he's doing at the club?
I think he's doing very well. I think I get the impression he feels quite secure in his position, irrespective of the results. Obviously, he's been there a reasonable amount of time, you have to say, in terms of instilling what he wants and his philosophy on the group of players he's working with. But I think he's comfortable. He knows that he's got the support of the people above him. It seems to be the case, because when he did come under pressure, there was never any inkling from from the powers that be that they were unhappy with the direction the club and the team was going. So that's reassuring for Ollie, and he's been given that time that he needs, and it's been borne out by obviously the turn in form and the fact that they're right at the top of the pile. So credit to him. He never looked under pressure to me. He always looked like he was calm. He understood the situation. He knew that he had good players to work with. And it was only a matter of time before they started to function well.
Do you think he's found something as well, Mark? Because, you know, you've been a manager, and sometimes when things aren't quite happening, you see maybe an opportunity to change something slightly. It feels that to me. I watch United now, and I feel like Ollie's found something within his team.
Yeah, I think so, Kaz. I think certain results that they've had as well, I think has helped, just to give them the mentality, that winning mentality you need as a group. I look back to when Ollie was coming under a little bit of pressure, and I think they had a big game against Everton away, which everybody thought, well, if he loses this one, well, he's going to be really under pressure and more questions will be asked. But they went there with 1-3-1, I think I recall. And from that point onwards, you sense that the group that he has is certainly playing for him. Whenever he comes under pressure, they seem to be able to produce a big result and a big moment for the club and for Ollie. So that's reassuring for him as the manager of the group.
Speaking of pressure, I mean, this week, you know, Leicester won, they went top. Manchester City won, they went top. And then Manchester United were at Fulham. They went behind in that game early on, but then they came back to win that one to reclaim top spot. They are dealing with pressure right now, and they're showing a real resilience and a real spirit. From what you're seeing then, do you think they could actually win the title this season?
I see no reason why they can't. I think you've touched on the resilience that they have in terms of a number of games this year, quite a number. They've been behind in the game and they've come back and won the 3 points. So that's a great trait to have. Obviously, all United teams had that in the past, the successful ones. So they're showing that now. We're getting to the end of the season, so to speak. We're over halfway, and when I was at United and we were going for titles, you get the Christmas period over and you look into the new year, and as you get into February, March, you're just ticking the games off. The next one is the most important one. You know, you go into the game, you win the game, you look to the next one. And I sense that's where United are. They're looking just one game ahead of them on each occasion, and just trying to overcome what's put before them. And once you get to this stage of the season, it's all about just ticking the games off.
Now, tell us what you've made of Liverpool, Mark, because obviously we're looking a few weeks back and everything was rosy in the garden. They were playing brilliant football, and they've sort of lost their way slightly in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think that could happen to any team, Kaz. You know that. It's a case, it's just a lack of form, I think, for a number of their players. I think as a group, maybe the obvious one is that the front three isn't functioning, and Jurgen's tried to move things around. I think he tried to freshen things up last time out. That didn't really work for him. The likes of Origi coming in, not quite at the level of the players that they were replacing, and I think it's difficult. I think they've missed the boy Jota from Wolves that they've signed. Clearly, he was brought in to enable the group to maybe rest the Salahs and the Firminos and Mane's, but not have a significant drop in quality. But he's been injured, and they just look like they've just lost that form. And unfortunately, it's coincided with a number of them losing form at the same time. And we've got 3, 4, 5, possibly, if you count maybe fullback areas, which aren't having the influence that they usually have. If you have that amount of players in your main group not at the level that you know they can be, then it will affect performances, it will affect form.
Just finally, Mark, obviously we're delighted to have you on board as part of our commentary team today. It must be something to look forward to as well. But in terms of you, what are you hoping in terms of what's going to happen with you next? Are you still hoping to be part of some club in the near distant future in terms of management, or are we going to hear more of you on the radio?
Well, who knows? Well, I give myself a little break. I needed a break. I felt after my last 2 positions. I had 4 or 5 years at Stoke, and probably should have had a break then, if I'm honest. But opportunity came at Southampton, and it was too good to miss. So it was a good club and a good opportunity. So I jumped in it. I think I only had maybe 5-6 weeks between both appointments. So maybe with hindsight, I probably should have had the break after Stoke. As it happens, my timetable has been shifted like everybody's with COVID, and so I've been out a little bit longer than I anticipated. But no, it's my intention to get back in at some point, and still got energy and refresh now. So I'm open to any suggestion.
Yeah, well, for now, we are happy to have you on board with us, Mark. Enjoy the game today. It'll be great to listen in to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Cheers, Mark.
My pleasure. Take care.